Hello people and welcome to another video. Today I will be covering my 10,000th game of Carcassonne on BGA. Now I know some of you might not like mathematics, but let's put this into perspective. 10,000 games. I'm going to be generous and I'm going to say that an average playtime for one game is about 15 minutes, because some of these games have been played with expansions, although a very proportionate amount of them. Some of them have been abandoned due to a player leaving, or they have just not been finished for some other reason. But in any case, I'm going to say that 15 minutes has been the average time that has been used for each game. Now that means that there is 150,000 minutes or 2,500 hours or a bit more than 104 days of pure Carcassonne. Now some might say that I am a top nerd, but I have another term. I call it dedication. Yes. Now, my 10,000th game is against none other than Melvin Quaresma. This is not favoritism. He just happened to be the 10,000th opponent. And oh boy, do I have a treat for you. Let's begin. We are the second in position. Melvin takes a castle. They could also start a road with this triple city tile, since it is not a shielded one. So it's not an impossible idea to just take the road instead of the castle, but that leaves an empty city cap, and it's generally not what you want to do if you have the opportunity to prevent leaving it. That's also what I do, taking a 2-point castle in this situation, so I would do the exact same thing as Melvin does here. I could attack Melvin's castle straight away, but it is not particularly threatful, because it needs 2 city caps or 3, or at least 3 tiles to be completed if it gets continued with triangles. So I'm pretty confident that we will either have a chance to start blocking it or get an opportunity to attack it later when it is a slightly bigger city. So we start our own castle here. There are various positions in which it would be totally legit to start this castle from. But I first of all want to keep this possible connection spot to Melvin's castle open, so that I can attack it with, for example, a road triangle, which would be the optimal tile to attack this castle with. This move here also prevents my opponent from getting many of the available city caps and just taking a quick 2-point road. With this move, I do accept the fact that I am not making another platform to attack, but also if I would make, that would mean that there would be a 4-point road up for grabs, and I definitely want to meeple the city cap, not the road, because I do not want my opponent to have a great use for both triangle tiles and for city caps. So they do decide to continue the city with cap. and they also meeple this road just so that I am not able to take a 4-point road with a regular curve. And now, since they did continue it with a city cap, I will have an opportunity to start blocking this city. So that is exactly what we do, and also we start a new city, because it is important to have multiple cities open so that we can use multiple tiles efficiently. This is very important, and I'm going to keep addressing people to have multiple cities open in the beginning of the game. They add few more points. Now, there are multiple places in which where I could place this monastery, but since there are already 2 daggers with the left curve out, there is a rather good chance that I can limit Melvin's castle to the final dagger and eventually block it, and also then be up on the mini battle 8 points to 3 by meepling this monastery. And 5 points for equal meeples is a great deal. We did not unfortunately get the chance to block this city to a dagger, since Melvin immediately gets a road triangle and preserves decent chances for the completion of the city. We now get to take a 3-point road, and we also now create an opportunity to block Melvin's castle to the same dagger that we had chances to block him to earlier. Or we might be able to attack this castle. They snatch a monastery. We could complete our own castle and prevent it from possibly getting blocked to the dagger, but this potential 10-point city is up on the priority list at the moment, so instead we are going to attack it. There are all 5 field triangles left, all 4 triple city tiles left with the field, and also, in the worst case, the 2 splitters. So 11 tiles that more or less suit for us. We will take those chances. If we are forced to use a splitter tile, we will do it, since it will likely create at least a 9-point field. But this is the worst case scenario if we cannot get meeples back from elsewhere. They are of course trying to block this connection. In an ideal case for Melvin, they would get 2 of my meeples trapped for a total of either 8 or 9 points against their 4-point meeple, and 5 points for a trapped meeple is not really all that good, so it would be very beneficial for them. Unfortunately, we do not have a tile in hand with which we could save this connection, so instead of just being able to do even a semi-save, we are going to start limiting potential casualties here, and we are going to complete our castle, and we will also meeple this 1-point road purely to prevent our opponent from getting a useful road end for their road and an easy use for a curve. In some situations we are also able to overrun his road with our 2 meeples, but that is a bit of a long shot. Now we just make sure that he doesn't get good use from a regular curve. They add 2 points. We do get a useful tile to us now. We can either connect to Melvin's city, but that wouldn't really be all that great, because it leaves a rather easy connection for Melvin to bring their second meeple to the ruin. And since we are down one meeple, I would rather not get into a ruin fight. So what we do instead is we add 1 point to Melvin's castle, add 1 point to our monastery, limit Melvin's castle and my monastery to the one final dagger, and also we save the connection to Melvin's city. So now there are 2 splitters and 5 field triangles that go into this hole, and we are more likely to draw one of the field triangles before Melvin draws a splitter. They continue a ruin, what is very likely going to be a ruin. Now we could do a lot of things with a city crossroad. We could theoretically use it to our road in the north and be 1 tile away from completing this road. But since we do have a castle there as well, it would put it at risk of being restricted to a 50-50 chance for getting the final dagger, and that's not such great chances. And also this road is not in a rush to be completed, because there are still chances that I'm going to overrun Melvin's road. I could also finish my road in the south, but however I would turn the tile, it would be more beneficial to Melvin than it would be for me, since I do not want to turn it so that Melvin would have an easy road end for his own road, but turning it so that the city cap is facing Melvin's monastery and the road, it also leaves a possibility for Melvin to get a starting tile and get additional 4 points, which is also not great. So we decide that we just take 2 points, and I also want to guarantee that Melvin's city will not be completed. It might not be optimal, but I am more fine by having an 8-point monastery against maybe a 9 or 10-point uncompleted city than I would be having a completed monastery against an 18 or 16-point completed castle. So, although Melvin's castle is very far away from completion, I want to exterminate the chances for it to happen. And in the case that Melvin decides to save it, then, well, we have plenty of attacking spots. And then we can also potentially get our monastery meeple back and attack Melvin's castle. So the upside from limiting this square to either being blocked or to the final dagger, both are great for myself, to be honest. We also now create a rather easily completable loop for our own road. They do clear off a city cap, as I think they should. Although they are blocking their own castle, this castle for them is likely going to be eventually more points than my monastery is. So now we create the loop and we limit this square to a starting tile, and now I am not so afraid of Melvin getting the starting tile, as he will not get immediate points from it, but he has to meeple this city, and that means that even though we would have to give 2 points to Melvin, we would then have a chance to attack the city. They do get the splitter, which now unfortunately means that there is a 9-point field for them, which they are of course going to take. We finish our small city. Now this might seem counterintuitive, since Melvin's road is 4 points or 5 after this curve and my road is only 3 points. But the idea here is to minimize negative consequences. So if they connect to my road, then it means that if Melvin's monastery gets blocked, then both me and Melvin will have one road meeple blocked, whereas if they would not connect to my smaller road, then they would be having 2 meeples blocked and I would have none. We attack Melvin's city. They start a new castle on their own field, and they do not care about continuing my road anymore, since their objective is to connect to my road. Now here I am not sure whether this was the greatest move, because it is a shielded tile. My goal here was to start forming a large ruin around Melvin's 2-point castle, but there are downsides to this move. First of all, it uses a valuable shielded tile to possibly a shared feature. Secondly, Melvin can draw the one remaining splitter and attack this castle with a second meeple, and possibly get a sizable advantage if they manage to complete the castle. I could start, and I probably should have started, a new city with this shielded tile, and just try finishing it with 2 city caps. And then try creating the ruin around Melvin's 2-point meeple with other city tiles, especially with triple city tiles, which are not meant to be started castles with. But we roll with this. They take 3 points and restrict my road to a crossroad. Still 5 of those remaining, so I am not too worried. We add 1 point to the road, create an attacking platform to Melvin's city, and also if Melvin completes this city, he will have a small dilemma whether he wants to drop another farmer or whether he wants to allow me to have an attacking spot to the 12-point field. And neither of those scenarios is really good for Melvin, because if they drop a second farmer, they will likely be playing for the rest of the game with only 1 meeple. And since there are 44 tiles remaining, it would be really unpleasant for them. But if they do not drop a farmer, then of course I will have a chance to equalize the field. They continue the castle in such a way that it cannot be directed to his ruin. We start completing our plan of building a ruin around Melvin's 2-point meeple. There are now 2 road triangles and a triple city with a road, which they can use to connect to this castle. They take a juicy monastery, and I think they should not be afraid to use their last meeple on this, since there are still 8 city caps with a field, which will allow them to get a meeple back straight away. And also, this monastery is rather easily completable. We get one of the road triangles and we enlarge our ruin. Instead of saving the connection, they decide to add 1 point to the monastery and have also all city caps with a road available for them to get a meeple back. We will now enlarge his castle a bit with the goal of keeping him out of meeples for just a bit longer. They add 2 points to their castle. Alternatively, what I think would have been a very good move was that they could have added the extender here, since there is still one road triangle and one triple city with a road left. So there is a 25% chance that they draw both of those tiles and they will overrun my ruin with their 2 meeples. And thus they could force me to re-attack this ruin with a meeple, which would be then susceptible to a complete block. It is a rather adventurous idea, since there is only a 25% chance of him getting the tiles that he needs anyway. And also he would need them to come quite soon before I would be able to prevent his plan. But now, by him adding 2 points to his castle over here, he has now made his castle more threatful, and it will force me to attack it immediately. Now they were able to save the connection. There is now 1 tile that suits for them, and they would also get 3 points from the road in the process. We complete the connection to his castle. They add 1 point. And now, since all the daggers with the left curve are out, we can try blocking his monastery. And this would be devastating. Because if this block is successful, there is a big chance that they would be spending the rest of the game without meeples. I am now 1 point up on the scoreboard. We have 5 points on the road. We have another 2 points on the road. So then we are plus 8. We have 8 points on the monastery, plus 16. We have 7 points on the ruin, plus 25. They have 2 points on the ruin, to 23. They have 6 points on this ruin, which puts them at minus 17. They have 9 points on the field, minus 8. They have 8 points on the monastery. They have 5 points on the other monastery and 5 points on their road. So overall they are now plus 10. But with so many tiles remaining, there is absolutely no chance of survival if all of their meeples are blocked. So what they do is restrict the spot to the 2 remaining starting tiles and the 1 remaining city crossroad. So at the moment they have 3 tiles which they can get a meeple back with. That's not a lot. We are smiling at this point, especially because they need the starting tile now to 2 places. One is more urgent than the other. We take 3 points. We could also alternatively just meeple this monastery here or even here. But I would rather take 3 points without a meeple investment at this situation and then use one of my meeples to attack the field and then use 1 meeple to score quick points, then have only 1 meeple in hand and 1 meeple in monastery, to which I need 4 tiles to complete. Unfortunately, they do get a starting tile immediately after, and they get a meeple back. It was not a high chance, and it is very unfortunate, but they are now unlikely to get any of their meeples back from anywhere if I don't complete a feature. So he will need to be very careful with this 1 meeple that he has. Now, since we have 2 meeples, we can afford to use 1, and we use it to attack this rather juicy castle, which can be completed. The downside is that there is only 5 tiles remaining which allow me to connect, but the upside is very good, because we can still get a meeple back from both our roads. If we get a crossroad, we can get meeple back immediately from here. And also we can use a crossroad here and complete our road whilst leaving Melvin's meeple to a 50-50 chance of being trapped, without the need of having to block this square. They take 2 points, and now it is possible to block my meeple by using either a triple city or a triangle and direct it towards my road, because all 3 city crossroads are out. Fortunately for us, we do have crossroad in hand and we get a meeple back. They add 1 point to the monastery, and just like I said, we can potentially use a crossroad to separate us from Melvin's road to complete ours, and we would then be 2 meeples up, which would be huge. They are now trying to block our connection to the castle. We are 1 tile away from finishing this row. There are 5 regular straight lines remaining, as well as the final starting tile. So there are great chances that we get this road completed. Melvin takes 4 points. And we complete our road. It is also noteworthy to mention that even though there is a connection spot to the castle, I am not worried one bit, because Melvin has only 1 meeple. They will not use it to attack a ruin which has then minuscule chance to be completed after they have connected. They add 1 point. At this stage they do not really care if the square gets blocked, but the upside that it does not get blocked is great, because there are so many straight lines remaining. It is absolutely worth it to add this 1 point to their monastery, because in the best case scenario I have a straight road in hand which I cannot use to block. Then they either add a straight road and pre-complete their monastery, and then on the next turn get the starting tile, or they get the starting tile immediately, they meeple this castle, and then they get a straight road, a field triangle, and then suddenly they have 2 meeples and 13 points more. So overall, the positive potential scenario after this move is massive, and that is what they need in this situation. We are going to block. We also do not want to direct this city cap downwards, because we do not want to give a free city cap on their field, and we also do not want to meeple the city cap, because it will likely just get restricted immediately with a piece of road. They take away 2 out of the 5 tiles that we need to connect. Now this move is somewhat important. We do not meeple this road. If you count the points, Melvin is up 6 points, assuming that I connect to this castle. There are 16 tiles remaining. I want to bait Melvin to use his final meeple on this road, so that I can have free hands in building whatever I want. I can take a 6-point field with a city cap, and I do not have to worry about Melvin getting city caps to score big points with if his final meeple is stuck on this road. If he doesn't take the road, well, then we can just take it, and we can still be up 1 meeple. And this road is going to be significant. It is already 7 points. When it is taken, it is 8 points. So if I take it, let's say on the next turn, I'm going to be +2, assuming that I connect to this city, and I'm still going to be up by 1 meeple. He is going to struggle. If my plan works out, I connect to this city and I take this road. He is going to struggle. They are trying to complete the block, and they also add 1 city cap to their field. We finally get the tile that we need, and we connect to the city. I am not worried about completing this city. My only goal now is to keep it. And this tile is perfect for us, because not only do we take off a city cap, but we also still preserve chances to actually complete the city and make a massive threat. We can complete this city by either using a field triangle or a splitter here, and the final remaining starting tile here. Therefore, Melvin still needs to block this castle. But by doing that, they now enable us to complete it in another way. Now we could just add this triangle over here and hope for the last remaining triple city. But if we add it here, we will have more tiles that we can use to this castle. We have a field triangle, a splitter, a tube divider, and a triple city with a field. Now, although the triple city with a field will not be optimal, because it will provide an attacking spot, and we will turn it this way if we get it, because we want to create the threat. We want to keep the threat of finishing this castle. And it will force Melvin to use more tiles to block this castle and not make any points. So we go here. Now they take the road. It does look like it can still be continued by at least 4 points, but all curves are out. There is a possibility that they get this meeple back if they get the last remaining crossroad and a triple city with a road. There's a 25% chance for that to happen, and they need it soon. Why soon? Because they still need to score more points. Because I still have 3 meeples left that I can use to score points with. I can take a field. I can take a road. I can use city tiles to grow my castle and to complete it even. He needs a crossroad and he needs the triple city with a road to get this meeple back. We add another 3 points to ourselves, and now we have 2 tiles that we can use over here to either complete this castle and seal the game immediately, or to enlarge the castle and have a few tiles to complete it. They get the triple city. They must prevent our castle from completion. We set up a semi-block on the other side, and since we have 3 meeples left and we have potential to get meeples back even, we will have to meeple this in order for us to not be left with a meeple surplus. Now this would be a good move, except there is one problem. The problem is, it is not a good move. Why? because this move was made instinctively. Now, instinctively made moves are not always bad, but in this case it's terrible. I will tell you why. This move protects from nothing. Nothing. All the tiles that they were able to use for blocking can still be used for blocking. This protects from absolutely nothing. It was far better for us to take a 4-point road instead and complete the save or a semi-save with a different tile. This move is bad. And the block comes immediately. We do want to take advantage of the fact that we still got a quick point tile. They add few city caps, since there is still a splitter left, which will help them score 3 more points. We take a 6-point field. They add 3 points. And now it is very important for us to be aware that the final tile that Melvin has in hand is a triple city with a road. Because say if they had a city cap, whilst we could take 3 points here, which would be more than taking 4 points here and adding a castle to their field, so essentially only a net +1 on our last move. It would be a net ±0 move to take this 3-point ruin here, because they would then on their next move use the city cap to build another castle and get 3 points. Now if you put all this together, then that means that on both of our final moves we got 3 points each. Whereas if I take the city cap and take 4 points from it, and then they cannot make another castle on their field and cannot use a city cap anywhere to take 1 point on a ruin, then that means that on our final move we made 1 point, they made 0 points. So there is a 1 point difference, and this technique is good to keep in mind. I have lost games due to the fact that I have not taken a castle on my opponent's field when they have had a city cap as their final tile. But in this case we take this 3-point castle because they do not have a city cap in hand. They can only add 1 point to their road, and this means that on my move versus his move I am net positive 2 points, and you will see why that is important. It is important because we win by 2 points. So had I taken a castle here for 4 points, seemingly 4 points, but it would have added 3 points to my opponent, I would now have 2 points less, and it would be a tie. So always keep in mind that taking 4 points from a castle that is on your opponent's field is really only +1 point. Thank you for watching this analysis. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again in the next one.